sure you get everything like you want it.
Well, good evening, Sigma race fans. Tonight is the Dusty Shangle 500 from Talladega Superspeedway. And the true wild card to kind of close out the season here. It's, 2 races left. The championship very much up for grabs amongst 4 drivers, and we'll highlight those 4 drivers as we skim through the starting lineup here tonight. And, yes, that title could swap hands here by the end of the year. We'll see. Starting front row, you've got Trevor Walker with pole position. Not a guy you normally see take pole, alongside John Hagan. And then Dusty's kid, my dad, Monty Shangle, in the number 38 there alongside the 21 of Kara Shangle. Those are 2 you want to look out here for tonight. Jack Ross and Bradley Ream, Jacob Shangle and Jordan Walker, James Fireball Robert and Lucas Holmes, Cooper Dwight and Guido Piano, Jimmy Logano and Tyler Aspinall. Here we have Dalton Scott, 130 points back right now from the title. Brian DeBlank is the points leader, so Dalton Scott gets a chance here to try and take the points lead at the end of the season. He's starting right there alongside the 19 of Trevor Vaden. And then you've got Tristan Reams and Belafon. Tasha Wright, who is on a hot streak right now, winning the last 2 races. She's starting there alongside Ewan What Army in the Polyphia number 1. And then we got Kellen Relic and Andre Stefan, Nate Newman, and Finley Herwig coming through the sprint qualifier. Tom Cording and Rich Roy, John Brinker and Tyler Landa, Louis Trost and Tayden Bergeron, Braden Varga starting deep in the field. Another one of those drivers in the title hunt. He's going to have to come from deep in the field here, which might actually be a good thing as there's bonus points for the Hard Charger Awards. So starting deep, not ideal, but maybe he can convert it into a big points night alongside Lynn Farrell. Chris Harvey and Jeffrey Gerald. Brian DeBlank, your points leader, starting very deep as well alongside Maggie Reams. Man, Matthew Fastnot, Tyler Shangle, some fast cars at the back here. Cam Jordan, Chaz Chadwick, and starting dead last, it's Al Bunch alongside Aunt Me Person. So if that ain't a bad omen for Al Bunch, then I don't know what is. Starting dead last in the field, the title on the line. We'll see if he can come from the back and truly max point his way here tonight. So 200 laps is no cakewalk here tonight. Talladega is going to be grueling for these drivers. 534 miles the distance, a little bit longer than a typical NASCAR Cup race at this venue. But with Sigma protocol, we will have mandatory cautions during pit stop sequences, so there will be mini breaks in the racing action to help things get bunched back up. But here we are. Pace car is going to turn off. We're going to get rolling. 200 laps here tonight at Talladega. Grab some snacks, grab a drink, maybe turn it on a TV or whatever. Just check out if you have to. Tune in for the race as we're going green here at Talladega tonight. So the conveyor belt is a very common trend here at Talladega. You'll see drivers basically swap lead all night long. And sometimes it gets to be a little bit mundane, a little bit boring. And I think tonight one of the big topics is going to be looking and seeing who gets the most laps led here. Monty Shangle looking to take the lead here for the first lap of the race. From third to the lead in lap 1. You want to stay on that inside line as much as possible at these super speedways. Once you get shuffled up high, that's when you're going to start losing spots. We have done a little bit of research going into tonight's race for data analysis. And the top 5 drivers when it comes to super speedway racing, for whatever reason, these 5 drivers have got it dialed in, drafting at the high banks of any of the super speedways we tackle. Ewan Wood Army, who has a great average at the super speedways, he's top of the list. Yeah, so here we go. 18 starts, his average finish a 13.56. Ewan Wood Army is tough to beat when it comes to super speedway plate drafting races such as this. Second to that, you had Kellen Relic, who has a 14.89 average finish coming onto the super speedways. Impressively enough, third in the last 2 years of competition, Atlee Weiss, your 2023 champion, has had an average finish of about 15th in these things. So that doesn't really do much for the stats here tonight, of course. But what is going on with Al Bunch? He is running right at the back. He has not gotten to the bottom line. Seems kind of problematic to me that he's not getting on that inside line to try and move to the front. Meanwhile, Dalton Scott leads the way. Tasha Wright jumps to the lead. Tasha riding that momentum train to maybe look to try and get another victory. 3 in a row would be a stellar performance for this rookie superstar in the Sigma Cup Series. But yeah, no, once I'm going through the rest of the top 5 there, you had Al Bunch, who's 4th on average with the super speedways, had an average finish of 15.31, and then John Roman, whom retired at the end of last year, had a great venture. Don't discredit, though. Brian DeBlank has an average finish of 16th. So that's the thing. A lot of these drivers, it's really no big star-studded, like, outlier stats. But for the most part, Ewan Wood Army at a 13.5 is very impressive, especially with the, misfortune and bad luck that falls every driver at these types of tracks. You just can't predict. And, whoa, they're wrecking. Al Bunch is in the wreck. Oh, boy. Title hopes may have just gone up in smoke for Mr. Bunch. The caution is out early in this one. From dead last on field, he had a lot of work to do here tonight. Very unusual that he qualified so deep in the field. But unfortunately, he's going to pay the ultimate price here with that. As we go to caution, Braden Varga has moved up to 2nd. Tasha Wright the leader. But let's go ahead and watch the replay here on the last lap with Al Bunch. So he's already trying to move through the field on that low side there. 4 wide with him on the low side. You got Jacob Shangle, the midst of the sandwich there. 64 tries to cut low. That's what happens. The 56 gets into the 64. And around goes Al Bunch. Hard nose damage on the front of the 81. Your pole setter, the 22 of Trevor Walker, found his way all the way back there and got tangled up in the wreck. So that's wild. So many movers already in the race. Well, Al Bunch's title hopes are not dashed yet because he can still roll around. It looks like the car is going to be much slower than he would like it to be. They're going to make some repairs and keep it rolling. He's going to have to hope for a mega wreck fest here tonight to get the most points. So you got Braden Varga with the number 9 machine there. Paying tribute to the SoftBank Hawks. They just ended up winning in their series the other night, so that's impressive. That's part of the reason he's running the special scheme here on the high banks of Talladega. And yeah, they won the 2026 Japan series, so sounds like there might be a special scheme on tap for Indianapolis next week for Braden Varga. And who knows, maybe he will be rolling in with the title hope in his favor. Yes, sir. Golden Horseshoe might have just lost the horseshoe, and that's that's pinpointing Al Bunch, who has had so much fortune come his way last year. Rolling into this year, it looked like it was going to be his title to win, but now Al Bunch sits 210 points out, needing a great race here tonight, and he got in the first wreck of the race. So Indianapolis next week, it'll be a home track for Braden Varga. I'm sure they had that one circled on their calendar no matter what as a home track advantage. Well, what the hell? The number 91 of Cam Jordan blew up running in 8th there. That's a big boost for Al Bunch. One more spot that he can gain here tonight. Retirements, that seems to be the only retirement. So the one thing Sigma officials have confirmed, there will not be any disqualifications of championship contenders. The championship contenders are going to have to get wrecked out or retire on their own. However, drivers such as the 22 of Trevor Walker, if his car is greatly impeding forward progress of your leaders, DQ can still fly for them. But all 4 of our title contenders will be left out of that, since there's so many, points on the board. It could be the difference between a 31st place finish here tonight and a 20th place finish. And if they continue to wreck and give people points, that's where we're going to let them, play it out. Al Bunch has been given an interesting kind of side quest here. He might actually be more lucky having to ride at the back and avoid any carnage and chaos that may fall upon the field. So there's always, 2 ways of looking at it. You can look at it the positive way, or you can look at it the negative way. Of course, the negative way, he's now with the slower car dropped to the back of the field. But if he can somehow survive here tonight, he could still get Hard Charger Award if 30 cars retire and he finishes 10th. I'll try to keep everyone a little bit up to date on the point situation. I won't have a live points, but kind of some perspectives into what points scenarios would play out here tonight. Braden Varga at 206 points back. He's going to need pretty much a win here and misfortune on the other drivers. 202 points is the max you can gain. Well, Braden Varga is already looking at max points here tonight because he started deep in the field and might be able to get Hard Charger Award if he's fortunate. So, knock on wood. Al Bunch, man, 224 points back. He needed a win here tonight, and that win may become very fleeting once the pace lap, once we get back under green here. You'll see the speed differential. That number 81 is going to be a slow roller. We're back and rolling here at Talladega. The ever so slow snail's pace through the gears at this track. It's crazy how fast they do get going, but the initial warm-up lap, it looks totally unrealistic. I mean, the speeds are so slow for them getting up to top speed here. But yeah, Tasha Wright, man, she has been on a tear, riding that momentum high after getting her first career win at Gateway, and then backing that up with a win in the Music Fest Grand Prix. It seems like her wins have come on late race pit stop strategies that have propelled her to the top of the board. Last time we were at a Superspeedway would have been Daytona, and we saw fuel mileage factor into that race. And actually the winner of the race pulled down pit road and was credited with the win, but was penalized 25 points because they cut the track short to go down pit road and cross the start-finish line. One of those two drivers that did that was Brian DeBlank, your current points leader. So had he not got that penalty back in Daytona of a 25-point penalty, he would actually have a 155-point lead here tonight in Talladega. And all of those points, very precious points, are going to make a big difference from the very start to the very finish here. Brian DeBlank stuck in the middle. 3 wide all the way through the field. This, this has all the formulas to be a wreck fest of a night. 3 by 3. The racer's just a little bit antsy to try and get one final win this season, knowing that this might be their last opportunity. 4 wide going into turn 3. That's never a good idea, and that's right with the lead group here. I don't know how they didn't make a mess of that, but they continue onward. And be 4 wide on the exit of turn 4 as well. Brian DeBlank in the middle. Tasha Wright also stuck in the midst of this chaos. The 7 needs to get dropped back here and allow for a little bit of breathing air at the front of the field. This could be that big one. We don't want to see title contenders get tangled up in it. And that's just the tough part about Talladega, is not knowing where to put yourself to stay out of harm's way. Belafonte to the lead. Ewan, what Army? Oh, and they're wrecking. That didn't take long at all. Yeah, this is the night that we've signed up for here, folks. It's going to be a lot of miniature big ones, I feel like. '22 involved yet again in another wreck here. It does look like Braden Varga was mildly involved in this one. Oh, the 29 and the 12. Tasha gets a clip there. Yeah, Braden Varga might not have too much damage as long as you don't get front-end damage. The sides, they can get a little bit beat up and banged up. Everyone else is going to get tangled up in some wrecks tonight, so the speeds are definitely going to start dropping. Whoa, that was a nasty hit there on the 29. James Fireball Robert came charging in like a fireball there. We'll watch this at max speed. Dalton gets a hard hit. That's huge. Another title contender with a big hit. Bam! And 29 stopped spinning like a top there for a moment. But holy cow, folks. 2 title contenders in the mix on that one. Yeah, Dalton's going to have some significant damage on that. Oh, shoot. Yeah, Dalton's day's probably done now. What the hell? We have We have pit road contact disabled. I don't know why. Why the hang up there? Problem is, once they get onto pit road, everyone else gets bunched up. Oh, come on. I haven't had that trouble at this Talladega track ever. What the world? Y'all might hold tight here because this might be a full-fledged restart. I don't get why everyone pits. That's... Okay, pit road speed needs to get bumped up, I feel like. They drop down to 55. This could be an easy fix. Obviously, it's a full force restart, but we do not want championships decided like that. Yeah, that's absurd. What is pit road speed, though? It's got to be 65. What the hell? He's going 80. Yeah, no. The entire field wrecked out on that just because they had to come down pit road. So that ain't... Scrap this one, folks. As, I will work my magic here in a moment. Had this trouble last night with slowing up on the backstretch. And for the sanity of everyone watching, I'm going to drop the laps down to 188 laps for... I believe that would be 500 miles instead. Apologies with the slight technical difficulties there, folks. I think pace speed limit needs to be bumped up to 95. Pit road needs to be bumped up. Huh. Speed limit 95 miles an hour on pit road, but yet why did they slow all the way down to... I think I bumped the caution speed limit up because they would continue to pile up on the backstretch here at this Talladega. So I had to bump it up to 90. And I'm actively going to bump it up full-time. That's tempting to adjust the wall offset because then... But then you'd be basically not touching each other. They wouldn't wreck. I think what I'm going to do is bump the pit road speed limit down We can always give wave rounds if people go a lap down at Talladega for whatever reason. Let's try that. So yes, the distance drops by a little bit, but that's very fine and dandy. Al Bunch dodges a missile. Golden Horseshoe may be back in his possession. Yeah, he's starting deep in the field again, so still having some troubles with the qualifying, it seems like, for Al Bunch. Quick run through. It looks like of your title contenders, 85, Brian DeBlank starting up towards the top. Dalton Scott also mid-pack there. Al Bunch deep in the field. Braden Varga deep in the field. So those bonus points for Hard Charger Award might very well go to one of our title contenders between Al Bunch and Braden Varga. Well, let's try this again, folks. We're back and rolling here at Talladega. 188 laps of distance, 500 miles in total. There is kind of a minor side note here. Bradley Ream is still in the hunt for a Rookie of the Year against Braden Varga. Varga's almost tied it all up. But Bradley Ream, if he gets a lucky stop here tonight, could start gaining back those points that he's lost to him. Man, I wonder if I should find that, the one guy that has his own AI editor program. I wonder if he's released it publicly so that I can actually make changes on the fly to the track AI like that. I've seen it on Reddit. Knowing NR2003 extended mods like that, it'll probably throw up a red flag on the Microsoft security system. So far, so good. No wrecks yet here in the rerun. Amazingly enough, we've made it 5 laps here at Talladega without a wreck. I'm not having any luck finding the AI enhanced, but it's out there and it's getting worked on, and I can only hope that it's released so that we can utilize it in NR2003. Well, that's a scene most of the field doesn't want to see, but Al Bunch gets up to the front there briefly. Now he's going to get stuck up on the high side and fall backwards. 4 wide in the middle of the pack there. Ewan Wood Army on the low side. Andre Stefan getting gobbled up. Well, Al Bunch got to the lead briefly, but now he's going to pay the ultimate price and drop way back here as the ebb and flow continues to move people forward and move people backwards. Braden Varga on the move on the low side. Oh, and they're wrecking. That is the big one. Holy cow. Al Bunch is clear. Wow, that might have just solved our problems here tonight. Half the field wiped out in an instant. We'll let them rejoin. Wow, what a nasty wreck. I saw a car flying through the air. We made it 8 laps in before the big one happened there. Kellen Relic looks like his car. Yeah, I was looking at the 4 wide. The 56 was definitely creating a very sticky situation for the rest of the field. Tasha Wright, not looking like she'll be able to keep her streak of wins alive. There they go. Wow, Tasha and Jimmy Logano kind of glued together in midair. Here, let's try this. I want a good camera angle for this wreck. The cameras in this Talladega are not perfect, but by the miracles that are extended mods, we've got better camera functionality here that can show us this wreck in its glory. Kind of funny how things repeat themselves like that. Yeah, Braden Varga was second when the first caution fell earlier tonight, and he's going to be second again when this caution fell here. Alrighty. There we have there's Al Bunch. 45, that is Tyler Aspinall with Jimmy Logano and the 69 of Lynn Farrell. Looks like Dalton makes it through. Brian DeBlank right in the background there. Looks like he works his way through. I think the nastiest part was right about here, where the two cars got airborne. Oh, right there. Wow, look at the air time those two got. I didn't pause, but we'll get right back without missing a beat here. So, do a quick recovery here on who's all knocked out from that big one here. 20 of Nate Newman, the 71 of Rich Roy, the 21 of Kara Shangle, followed by the 77 of Tyler Shangle, the 29 of Louis Tross, the 56 of Andre Stefan, the 90 of Tasha Wright, the 87 of Kellen Relic, the 28 of Jimmy Logano, the 22 of Trevor Walker, the 43 of Taden Bergeron, and the 12 of Chris Harvey, all retired out of the race here tonight. And yet again, more shit storm with the AI just do not know when to stop when it comes back from caution. It's actually absurd here at this track. I do not know how to work that one out of this system because those cars should not have been retired. 85 of Brian DeBlank gets in it too. But we're just going to let it roll. DeBlank is not retired per se, but his car is greatly... So DeBlank, your points leader, he's going to need a little bit of luck here tonight to keep the points from totally falling out of reach. Fastest lap in the race so far belongs to Braden Varga. Seems like I need to bump the pace laps up to even more. Okay, thank you. Yeah, the AI D-cell, which is part of the reason we get 3-wide racing action here, is the D-cell is tuned very, very low for the drivers. They do not panic much. But here we go, rolling for the restart here tonight at Talladega. It's, you know, it is Talladega after all. It's bound to be a shit show. We're back and rolling here on lap 13. I'm mostly impressed that we were able to make it about 8 laps in before the big one happened. And when the first race was going, we didn't have the big one happen yet. It was a lot of miniature, like, secluded wrecks. And so, part of the problem with that is not enough cars had wrecked out, and they'd all pulled down pit road and wrecked themselves out anyways. Well, we've lost about 12 cars here tonight, but that still means we've got about 30 cars left in the field. And these drivers are not giving up. They are racing like it's the last lap of the race here. Oh, and they're wrecking again. Wow, we are seeing some airborne cars here tonight. 34 is tumbling. Wow. Oh, the 91 came in later and clipped the 34. Okay, well, at least we're being extra here tonight on the wreck category. Four wide, flipping through the air. Hard hit here with the 91, man. And so here's the problem. 91 starts to slide back down the track, and you know who's coming is points leader Braden DeBlank. Wow! They are spinning like tops out here tonight in Talladega. If you can make it out of Talladega tonight without getting killed, that is going to be a huge a bonus by the end of the night. So we fixed our pit road problem, it looks like. Everyone's mostly fixed. Yeah, I'd say it's fixed. The more cars that we have retired, the better this race will actually get, as less cars are going to be hindering the field. So yeah, this is all kind of leaning in the favor of Braden DeBlank. The more cars that retire, the more points that he's going to be able to maintain here tonight. The only downside is his competition still very much alive in the drive here tonight. You got Braden Varga, who's running about 7th on pit exit. Dalton Scott, who's running in 9th. And Al Bunch, who's in the top 15. Braden DeBlank, as he runs right now, top 20. What he could do here tonight is eliminate a couple contenders from the title hunt. It'll be a little harder to eliminate Dalton Scott, as he's got about 80 points that he's going to have to make up on Dalton. But for Braden Varga, Varga's just going to have to beat him by 1 spot to stay alive. If Braden Varga beats him by 15, 20 spots, Braden Varga might actually cut, the deficit in half by the end of the night. Al Bunch, he's actually really working uphill battle now after being at the points lead for so long this season. He's going to have to beat Braden DeBlank by about 5 spots to stay alive. Well, 18 laps into this one so far. We got the pace lights turned off. We'll get back rolling here. Well, the field definitely dropping like flies here as we've probably knocked out about half the field now. '64 is going to reset the field here. Chaz Chadwick, Jordan Walker, James Fireball Robert, and Tom Cording. We're back and rolling here now. So the dynamics definitely change now in this race with the less cars in the field. Drafting becomes far more of a premium. And as you can see, a couple drivers already losing this lead draft. We might be down to about our top 20, maybe even our top 15 as the only drivers left in the fight here tonight. Crazier things have happened. I mean, you could have a fuel mileage race break out at Talladega, but that doesn't often happen. Well, unfortunately for Tasha Wright, 3 in a row is not going to happen here tonight as she's already retired from the event in tremendous, unfortunate fashion where she went flying through the air with Jimmy Logano there. Meantime, you got Ewan Wood Army leading with Ant Meeperson, John Hagan following right in line. Bradley Ream seems to have a knack for these super speedway races as well. He won the Daytona 500 earlier this year and has run really strong in the other ones as well. I feel like things are going to kind of settle in here for a good long green flag run. We've got 18 cars at the front of the field. The Sigma officials are going to be Johnny on the spot with any slow traffic that they may come across. Fortunately for the 09 of Matthew Fastnot, that is going to be DQ Land, number 09. This group here we'll leave alone. You got Brian DeBlank obviously in the mix, and a couple other cars that are matching his pace there, so just don't like the single car packs like that where it could be very problematic for your leaders when they come across them. Al Bunch in the mix again here tonight. Caught himself a lucky break after the original game just cost us a restart here tonight. And honestly, this is about where I would love to see these Talladega races, is once they get down to 18 cars, then they can race for it. The field, 42 cars, is just a huge field of cars. Even like the sprint qualifier, 20 cars was kind of the sweet spot. And so we're seeing it here tonight, especially the sweet spot of 18 cars. And all these drivers very much up to bat for a potential race win tonight. If you're in the top 18, you've got a chance. That's really all it comes down to. Some big names that don't often get to win races. You can look here at the front. John Hagan in the Mountain Dew Genesis car. That would be a huge victory, as John Hagan is trying to climb his way up to a charter spot for the charter situation of 2026. Finley Herwig, rookie in the Cup side of things. He had a stellar ARCA campaign here in 2025 and looks to head towards the Bridge to the Cup next year full-time. We'll see how well he does. He's been lighting it on fire in these Cup starts that he's got so far. So not bad. And you got Jeffrey Gerald, also another Cup rookie. Very limited starts for him. 3 wide now, as that's Ant Me Person and Bradley Ream on the low side. But yeah, to name a few, you definitely got some big underdog stories here tonight. Of course, the championship picture, which we are keeping a very close eye on as things work out here tonight. Braden Varga needs to gain as many points here. He's sitting 4th on field with his competition, Al Bunch and Dalton Scott behind him. But here's the thing. The only one he needs to beat straight up here tonight is Dalton Scott, because he's already ahead of Al Bunch. And if he, stays how he's running right now ahead of Al Bunch, he'll be able to gain some good points on him. But also, Dalton Scott has a bigger advantage on him by about 76 points. So it's going to be, about a 10-spot gap that he needs to maintain on Dalton Scott here tonight. If Braden Varga is able to pull off the victory, it really kind of eliminates that 10 gap a little bit, but 10 spots will be a huge advantage for that number 9 team to get ahead of the number 15. And of course, Brian DeBlank, who's 206 points ahead. That's a full race. So the fact of the matter is Brian DeBlank cannot finish dead last here tonight. That means, at the best, Braden Varga can cut the advantage in half. At this point, anything he does ahead of Brian DeBlank will force the championship to the finale in Indianapolis. But whether or not that turns into a must-win at Indy, or if he can still point his way to a championship, is yet to be seen. Well, things are getting a little bit rambunctious again here. I wouldn't rule out another wreck happening in the top group as Jordan Walker, getting interesting. Oh, they're getting around Brian DeBlank, putting him a lap down here tonight. So that's why the holdup at the front of the field. They're going through the lap traffic. But we're not going to DQ them. As I mentioned earlier tonight, the points championship contenders are going to be immune here this evening and will not be DQ'd for simply running under pace. Now, the unfortunate side of that is obviously this happens, where your leaders get bunched up. But it looks like we're broke down into two groups now, as the leaders, the top five, kind of drive away at the moment. Dalton Scott with a big advantage there, right there alongside the leaders. Ooh, Braden Varga jumps to the top of the second group right in front of Al Bunch, so that's a big move to make. All three of your title contenders nose to tail right now. 5th, 6th, and 7th. Well, Braden Varga can take matters into his own hands if he decided to bump the 15 around. Definitely competition is stiff here tonight, and every point is very important for the title hunt. Man, that would have been a photo finish there at the line. I think Braden Varga got the lap led there. So we're going to have to keep an eye on who gets the lead, led most laps here as well for that bonus. The bonus points that are on the line there. So far, led most laps belongs to the 50 of Tom Cording, who has led 5 laps so far. Braden Varga, Reams, Ross, a bunch of them all stalemated at 2. Oh, I guess John Hagan was 6, so John Hagan's actually had the most laps led so far. Yep, so big points gains being made here every lap led. Well, if you lead a lap, you get bonus points. If you lead the most laps, you get double that, so... Well, after the shakeup, it looks like our top 18 all back in it. Very much the 18 cars for the mix here, for the win here tonight. No, there's a blown engine. Number 10, that is Jordan Walker. Wild place to blow up an engine. Luckily, everyone else was very cognitive of it and managed to avoid making contact. But there we have Jordan Walker blown up, coming across the apron there. Everything stays green. No drama other than the blown engine. Oh, and they're wrecking. They're going to take out at least 3 cars. John Hagan gets a hard clip there. That was Jacob Shangle Racing. Hard hit for both drivers, John Hagan and Jacob Shangle. Well, we had a nice long green flag run there, brought to a halt by this most recent caution. As they get caught up to the pace car, man, they drive away with it. The speeds here at Talladega, they get away from the pace car pretty quickly. So let's see how this all unfolded here. Unfortunate for the 68. The one of You and What Army. Yeah, they just connect. 68 gets a pretty hard lick there. The one of You and What Army. Tough break for him. But your title contenders, they survive yet again. 18 cars might be down to about 15 after that one. It's looking like a good night here for Bradley Ream. So I will not DQ any more drivers here tonight. We will just have to deal with the slow cars. And if it causes a wreck, so be it. Oh, the one of You and What Army retired from the damage sustained. So that's another spot. +1 to Brian DeBlank. That leaves us with 22 cars left running here tonight. And we're not even to halfway yet. So what I'm going to do right now, while we're under caution, I'm going to fire up my laptop. I'm going to go look at the Rookie of the Year battle. I'm actually going to score up the last couple races that we didn't have scored up yet. And it's going to be close. Then we actually will have a reference point here tonight as to where that rookie battle stands. So the only other 2 races left was Gateway and Nashville, followed by Talladega. Yeah, Bradley Ream was losing by 5 points before Gateway and Nashville. Okay, let's do some scoring. I'm going to go radio silent, so enjoy the race without the commentary as I get some scoring done here for the Rookie of the Year battle. So I just now got done scoring there. What happened to the 18 of Chaz Chadwick? Well, it is, you know, just a gnarly night here for the title contenders. What exactly transpires is the big question. As I was looking at the scoring, figuring all that out. 4 wide, Braden Varga's on the low side. Wow. Okay, so Al Bunch gets lucky again. The 18 of Chaz Chadwick, 00 of Jack Ross, the 95 of James Fireball Robert, all tangled up in that mess. When it's your night to be lucky, it's your night to be lucky. Your title contenders have been able to eke their way through all the messes in front of them. And so to put it into perspective, the Rookie of the Year battle, right now as it sits, Braden Varga has 302 points. Bradley Ream has 296. So amongst the other Rookie of the Year candidates, Bradley Ream's going to have to get 6 points on Braden Varga. And I haven't thought about a tiebreaker. If it came down to a tie between the two of them, I would have to give it to the driver that's gotten the highest in the points, which in a tiebreaker situation, that would be Braden Varga. Bradley Ream is not going to be able to close the gap on Braden Varga for top 5 in the points there. So that settles that if it came down to a tiebreaker. There's still smoke in the area there. Lingering smoke. I think it's still from that initial caution that we just had. So still no additional retirements, it seems. Actually, I take that back. The 17 of Jeffrey Gerald is now retired. So that leaves us with 20 cars left running. 95 of James Fireball Robert and the 1 of You and What Army all retired. So 95 also joins the fold there. 20 cars left running of a 42-car field, and we're still not halfway yet. Brian DeBlank is the big winner here because every time more cars fall off, he's going to keep that points advantage in his favor. But for the Rookie of the Year battle, it has settled into a two-dog fight between Bradley Ream and Braden Varga. With the attrition kicking into overdrive here, a lot of these drivers with damaged vehicles might still be able to salvage a top 10 or a top 15 here tonight. Another thing to consider here, that Rookie of the Year battle. Obviously, Bradley Ream is ahead of all the other rookie contenders. Let's say he'd gain about 12 points with the position he's in. Tom Cording would gain 11. And then Braden Varga would gain 10. As you continue through, the 41 of Cooper Dwight would get 9. Some drivers are not considered in the Rookie of the Year battle. You had to commit to a full season. So even though the 68 is a rookie, he is not in the mix with the Rookie of the Year points battle. So not including him and a couple others there. But of the rookies left running, it looks like Bradley Ream on a great night here tonight could gain about 4 points on Braden Varga, but that'll be about it. Of course, Braden Varga could win this race and extend his points lead on Bradley Ream. So there's a lot on, you know, up for play and at stake here tonight. Let's hopefully get another green flag run rolling. It's been 4 cautions strong so far here tonight. Kind of a slow rolling Talladega at the moment. Impressively enough, it still looks like we've got about 12 cars in the lead draft. Yeah, about 12. Even the 41 is somehow managing to stay in the draft there with greatly damaged number 41. Oh, they're going to go 4 wide for 3rd place. That is not where you want to be. Ant Me Person losing some ground. He's stuck up on the high side with 4 wide. Yeah, Braden Varga in the Hornet's nest. Yeah, he's like, screw this. I'm going to drop all the way to the bottom line. Don't often see the NR AI do such a move as that. Braden Varga, high IQ move to drop to the low side as soon as possible. Lead most laps is going to be huge here tonight as we'll continue keep an eye on it. Bradley Ream at 6, Tom Cording at 6. Everyone else that's either out of the race or retired may have had 6 at one point. John Hagan had 6. So 6 is the top number at the moment. Monty Shangle just jumped to the lead there, and he should get his 4th lap led. Now, fortunately for Al Bunch, he didn't get much damage during that wreck. Here we go. Braden Varga jumping to the lead here. Wants to get another lap lead. Try to get closer to the lead most category here tonight. He could be potentially a candidate for the Hard Charger Award as well, as he had to start outside the top 30 here tonight. Actually, let's look for certain how many spots he's gained from qualifying. Braden Varga, 34th. The only other driver starting deeper than that would be Al Bunch at 40th, still alive for the win here tonight. So super max points, lead most and hard charger. Braden Varga is hoping to do that here tonight. As I mentioned, no more disqualifications. We've got what we've got. Your leaders are going to have to figure out a way to get around the slow traffic here tonight and not cause a wreck. It might be a popular opinion. It might be an unpopular opinion. Well, while I can do that too, I'll look up at our points and actually do a as they run points analysis here, or a grand what if scenario. As it sits, the 85 is actually 17th, so he's still faster than a couple of the cars damaged here tonight. So let's see what would happen for a 17th place finish on Braden DeBlank. And I don't believe he's led a lap here tonight. DeBlank in 17th. One lap, so he gets the bonus point for leading a lap. So 49 points for Braden DeBlank. Obviously, multiply that by 2, he would be getting 98 points. So Braden Varga with a max points night here tonight could see as much as 212 points. Minus 98. He would cut it in half. 114 points would be the advantage that he gains with a win here tonight and a Braden DeBlank 17th. Even if Braden DeBlank falls further back into 20th and they're wrecking behind, this might make it even harder. Wow, all 3 of your title contenders came out of the smoke on that one. Did Braden DeBlank make it through is the big question here. Yeah, he's so far back it doesn't even matter at that point. Well, this title hunt just got a little bit more mysterious. Bradley Ream, wow, rookie mistake on the 19 there of Trevor Vaden. And we're going to see some more retirements on that one. And Al Bunch might have kind of wiped him out there. I don't know. I mean, we might be... We're in Bizarro land right now as it is. That there's only going to be about 4 cars left within, you know, adequate speeds, maybe 7 or 8. Yeah, that is just not necessary to race that hard on lap 60. 40 Tuesday is done. Retirements continue to stack up here. And Braden DeBlank is just a lucky dog here tonight. Keeps gaining points with a race that might not even be his race to win at this point, but we might have a car that's greatly damaged that could still win this race here tonight. All it's going to take is for the leaders to get into one big wreck with each other, and then there will be no cars that are clean. It looks like we're going to have about probably 4 more retirements here. The 38 retires of Monty Shangle, 78 of Bradley Ream. Soon to retire, I would imagine, the 42 of Belafonte should retire, and the 41 of Cooper Dwight as well, so that would bring the field down to 16 cars left running here tonight. meaning the worst that Brian DeBlank could finish is 16th. And that moves it to a true 102 points. 102 points for Brian DeBlank with a top 15. And like I said, 212. So that means, yeah, Varga might be able to cut it in half with a win here tonight. But cutting it in half is not, not going to be enough in some cases. Go ahead and turn the lights off on the pace car. We'll get back rolling here shortly. Anything can happen at Indianapolis. Yeah, no, the Superspeedway races are definitely kind of a toxic race. I have to find that happy medium. Last night I had it dialed down to 97 and they didn't race hard enough. So I dialed it up to 98 here tonight, and that was, I think, turn it up just a hair too hard. At least they aren't wrecking every lap. We do get some nice green flag runs, so mix in the chaos with some racing. There's something to be said about that. And of all things, I don't know how our title contenders are all still running. That is unusual, to say the least, that we have all of our title contenders still in the mix here. 15 cars left running, and man, it is, this is like a local short track sized field of cars at the moment. It's only about 6 cars that have no damage to little to no damage. Everyone else, they're going to be racing their own race with their damaged vehicles. What's amazing here is even if your your lead 6 cars got in a wreck, we might be looking at the battle of demo cars out here. Whoever has the fastest lap at the end of the race, it might be down to the 180s before they wave the checkered flag. You got to kind of consider that too. Every caution gives some of those broke cars a chance to get fixes made. That 68, he might be able to stick around in the draft with the fixes they continue to make to the number 68. Even if he's not able to stay with the lead draft, a top 10 is in the cards for him. Dalton Scott led that lap. there you have it. Your top 7, really the only 7 cars left in the mix here tonight. 3 of which are title contenders in Braden Varga, Al Bunch, and Dalton Scott. Dalton Scott could cut into that points lead by 100 points here with Brian DeBlank's current struggle to finish this race. Heck, Brian DeBlank's running 13th, so he's actually outperforming a couple cars still. And those are all points in the right direction for Mr. DeBlank to keep that points lead away from our 3 title contenders. So yeah, for Brian DeBlank, getting in the early wreck but surviving has been the big game changer here tonight, as he's been able to take advantage of getting away from all the big wrecks that are happening in the field. All he's got to do is kind of just cruise it home here tonight and maintain that points lead. While on the flip side, all 3 of his title contenders are up front here fighting for the win. We're almost certainly going to go down to Indianapolis with the title on the line. Correct. You'll have to beat Al Bunch by 6 spots. So if Al Bunch finishes 7th with a Braden Varga win, so yeah, it's going to be tight. Al Bunch would definitely have to almost wreck out of this one here. So many variables, so many, yeah, it's going to come down to the last lap here tonight. We're going to be sitting here for 118 laps to follow the leader for the most part right now. So Varga leading those laps, racking up the bonus point for led most at the moment with 10 total, make that 11. So now the racing can actually begin now that we've knocked out more than half the field. Drivers just kind of have to mind their P's and Q's and not put a wheel wrong, as you're only one of 7 cars with a shot to win it now. And this is why we only run 6 Superspeedway races in the season. It's a different ballpark altogether. You get stuck with some snoozers, some clunkers. I don't know if you can call this one a clunker yet, but the fact that we tore up so many cars just kind of diminishes the overall value of this race slightly. But we continue on. Someone's got to win the race no matter what. With all the variables and unfortunate circumstances that do unfold, someone's going to, get crowned champion here in Talladega tonight. Or rather, race winner, not champion, not the overall champion this year. Brian DeBlank missed that opportunity after missing out on a chance to win the race here. these are definitely the storylines that, you know, it's hard to come down through a full season, especially a 42 car or 42 race schedule like this one. Pardon me. And after 41 races, you have 4 cars still alive for the championship, 3 of which are all racing 1, 2, and 3 here tonight during points of this run. It's a NR2003 does not know what the last race was like. So the fact that it can actually develop authentic storylines like this is just out of this world. I mean, it's crazy. Whoa, 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 whoa. Things are getting a little bit hairy here with your leaders as they try to slice and dice around the lap traffic. Al Bunch getting held up there. Whoa, the 13 gave Al Bunch a bit of a bump. He's there to rattle his cage a little bit. Three wide. There's Brian DeBlank. I know Braden Varga could take matters into his own hand too here with the points leader right there in front of him. He's going to cut high. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Al Bunch almost got wrecked there. Wow. The 45 of Tyler Aspinall and the 81 of Al Bunch. You know, the wrecking is not done yet here tonight, folks. They are still racing out of control. That could have been a night ender for Al Bunch. We'll all be damned. 3 wide for the lead there. That is the 51 of Tristan Reams, who was 6th in line. Now he's up to 1st. They made their way through the lap traffic, and it kind of made for some scary moments there, but everyone keeps it gathered and rolling forward. That's probably just the one of many times that we'll see that here tonight. Whoa, the 13 and the 50 almost made contact there. We don't need any more wrecks. It's not a battle of who can wreck the most cars here tonight. It's a battle to take first place. You know, Braden Varga 3 wide with the other 2 title contenders there. Getting around Al Bunch and Dalton Scott. Still very crazy to think that Brian DeBlank, those 25 points that he lost at Daytona, might actually come back to haunt him. 25 points might be about the deficit if Dalton Scott wins here tonight and Brian DeBlank finishes where he's running. It'd probably put Dalton Scott at about a 30-point advantage, or rather disadvantage to Brian DeBlank. Damn, the lap traffic is messing with Braden Varga there. Varga tries to cut high, cut low, cut high, low. 88 stays low. And your other 4 cars of the lead draft are losing ground to Al Bunch and Tristan Reams here. As I mentioned, no more DQs here tonight, but that is ugly. The 88 is not doing any favors for Braden Varga. Of course, once green flag pit stops factor in, we will throw the competition caution to get them all bunched back up. So, not the end of the night by any means for Braden Varga. But the lap traffic definitely is kind of factoring into this one now. I would not want to be Al Bunch leading the race with lap traffic around him. Whoa, they're wrecking. Where are they wrecking? Who's wrecking? Oh, no. Oh, no. Braden Varga makes it through. That's our 6th caution of the night. And it was lap traffic. It was the lappers that brought out the caution here. Of all things, why would the lappers decide to wreck? Holy cow. Whoa. Well, 13 of Aunt Me Person apparently took offense to the 18 racing and blocking his line here. 18, yep, 13 had the run and hooked him hard. Slides right up. That takes out the 64. Those are 2 more spots that Brian DeBlank will gain here. So DeBlank is sitting pretty. Yeah, so the 13 was a lead lap car. Brian DeBlank might be able to get a top 10 here tonight with all the attrition. Oh, an engine problem for the 68 of Finley Herwig. Oh, Finley Herwig retired 16th here tonight, leaving us with 15 cars running at the moment. I guarantee there's a couple more cars that are going to retire. The 18 and the 64, there's really no reason they would continue on. And the 64 just looks like it's been through the shredder here tonight. Well, we're down to 100 laps to go finally. We'll see if the 18 retires. That might be 2 more spots for Brian DeBlank. Wow, 18 might actually continue on. '88's continuing on. for Braden Varga, the team is hoping that the 64 does not retire. Yep, that's 15th place for Jacob Shangle. That means Brian DeBlank can finish no worse than 14th after another retirement. 14th will be the worst Brian DeBlank can finish, and we kind of looked at that. That would be a perfect 100 points for him. This is just wild. We could be looking down history here tonight, folks, if we don't have a single car finish the entire race. That has never happened in Sigma racing history. And the way they're racing, it would not surprise me if we had the first ever unfinished race end under a wreck of some sort here tonight. Retirement would be, it would then be coined the retirement race, where a driver could not finish every lap. Still 99 to go. The good thing is the championship battle is going to continue on to another week at the way things are rolling right now. The points are staggered good enough that 15 spots ahead of the 85 will still make for an interesting championship finale. We can look back at what Brian DeBlank's stats at that track look like. If we go back to 2024, his last race at Indianapolis, he finished 36th with a mechanical failure. So Brian DeBlank, 36th, that would be enough for anyone else to win the race and take the title next week. You go back even further to 2023, I do believe Brian DeBlank was running at the end of the season that year. And the number 7 car, he ended up with a 15th at Indianapolis, so kind of, you know, both ends of the spectrum there. 15th to 36th. We'll see how it unfolds next race at Indianapolis. Still can't believe they're finding ways to wreck this late into the race. It's actually absurd. It's very absurd. Most laps led here tonight. Go ahead and chalk that up to Braden Varga, who has 18. Make it 19 laps led. Brian DeBlank sitting in 10th right now, man. Having a good run even when the day's bad. Now Braden Varga is going to be hoping that Al Bunch stubs his toe here. For him to get the hard charger award, he's definitely going to need Al Bunch to falter at the end of this one. Our 6-car group has grown back to about an 8-car group, interestingly enough. Don't know where those other 2 came from, but they've worked their way to the front, and they're going to be a threat now for the win. Yet again, our Three title contenders, nose to tail. 1, 2, and about to be 3. Braden Varga does have a teammate in the fold here, the number 50 of Tom Courting. That could be a pivotal piece to the puzzle here, as they could work together to seal the deal here tonight. Man, I really do not want to DQ anyone because of the points situation here. DeBlank continues to gain spots and still run very stout, so hands off. I mean, DeBlank, we don't want to give him free points here. He could get in a wreck right now and finish 14th, but if we DQ'd that person, he would have finished 12th instead. To win the race, you got to be able to master the craft of passing lap traffic, and that is, it's a skill set. Being able to do it clean, not cause a wreck, or, in lap traffic's case here, it might just cause a wreck regardless because the leaders had nothing to do with it. Wow. Okay, so the 88's like kind of chameleoned his way into the lead there, holding up both lines of traffic there, and they get around the 88 now. 3 wide, he's stuck in the middle. That's going to be the kiss of death. Not smart for those two at the back, as they're going to get stuck behind him and drop even further backwards. Whoa, the 15 really close there to the back bumper of Braden Varga. The run was, it was a quick run. He was closing that gap. Whoa, and they, wow, wow, wow. Honestly, Braden Varga could very well tie up Rookie of the Year honors tonight. The number he's going to want to look for is 11, and that would be 11 points advantage over Bradley Ream going into Indianapolis. And obviously he would have the tiebreaker, so 11 points would be the number for him to seal the deal here tonight as a Rookie of the Year candidate. And then he can kind of just set his focus on the title hunt next week at Indianapolis, hoping for maybe some bad breaks for a couple drivers to get him ahead. He's obviously got Dalton Scott to deal with behind him. He's going to have to make up 70 points on Dalton Scott here tonight. So if Dalton Scott retires right now, finished 14th, he would make up almost enough points to break even with Dalton Scott. But yeah, that Rookie of the Year battle could be clinched here tonight in Talladega. We'll have to crunch the numbers after the race, and obviously Braden Varga's got to maintain what he's doing right now. But doing his level damnedest to keep the lead and rack up all those bonus points here tonight. Al Bunch faltering. And he's going to need Al Bunch to drop behind that number 7 car to get the Hard Charger award here tonight. So yeah, it'll be big if it happens. It'll be huge points night for this number 9 team. Of course, me mentioning anything is the commentator's curse, and hopefully I'm not jinxing anything by mentioning it, but yeah, 222 points is the supreme max. That would go to someone that had pole position, led most laps, and won the race. But the Hard Charger is weighted a little heavier than a pole position. He's already got led most in his back pocket at the moment. I think you started 34th, if I'm not mistaken, though. Yeah, 34th. So plus 6. As long as you're 6 spots ahead of Al Bunch, which would be 7th at that point, that would it would give both of you the Hard Charger award, and I would give bonus points to both drivers in that scenario, but you'd get the max points on the night. It would just be shared between you and Al Bunch. And he's doing it right now. All he had to do is have him finish right where he's running. If the checkered flag dropped right now, Braden Varga would be looking at a 222-point night. Now, obviously, before tonight's race, we did some analysis on the Superspeedway racers. And the one reason that Brian DeBlank has the points lead this year is his consistency. And he's avoided, when he has a bad night, kind of like tonight, a bad night for him is still going to be converted into a top 15 finish. So making the most of your bad nights, very championship caliber move. I hear you loud and clear there, Finley. You will be in the field for Indianapolis next week. You'll have to come through the sprint qualifier, of course, but I got you. It was one of the last couple races I had you slated for some extra reps in the Cup Series. So as long as you qualify, you will be at least attempting to make the field next race, next week. Well, Braden Varga continuing to lead up front, and he's going to keep that lead and lead most lap bonus to his name as long as he can do this. Best case scenario for him would be if Dalton Scott blows up, Al Bunch blows up, and Brian DeBlank blow up. Then it is a true max points night for the number 9 team. He's got, you know, factors working against him here, obviously. But if we threw the race right now, if we threw the checkers, you never know if Dalton Scott or Al Bunch could get a worse finish here tonight. I mean, 85 laps is 85 more opportunities for Dalton Scott to blow his engine, get in a wreck with the lap traffic, or even Al Bunch to make a mistake somewhere along the way. Wow, lap traffic is not helping the matters here. And wow, close. The 51's going to try to take to the lead, though. He's going to lead this lap over Braden Varga. Yep, by a hair. Last time the caution came out, they got around lap traffic and something like this happened. So we'll keep our eyes on Al Bunch now as they close in on the lap traffic. 3 wide at the bottom. Al Bunch goes low. 13 was the one that cleaned him out last time. Now Brian DeBlank's putting himself in the danger zone, getting in with lap traffic that could maybe get wrecked out here tonight. Only been 6 cautions here tonight through 107 laps. Whoa, Vaden cut low on Al Bunch there. That's going to slow his roll. Wow, 3 wide for the lead. This is not not something you want to be seeing this late in the run, but there they are, 3 wide for the lead. Actually, 222 points might be more like 200, and we haven't really had a driver lead the most laps and have the hard charger award in the same race. So I need to do a little bit more digging here, because that could be game-changing bonus points here tonight for the number 9 team if Al Bunch drops off by the end of this one. I mean, anything can happen. They're probably not done wrecking by any means here tonight, so lap traffic will probably factor into it once more. So yeah, high climber bonus. Yeah, it's the same as a pole position, so my bad. 222 points. So it'd be 11 bonus points to the 100 points for the win. 111 doubled up is 222. Obviously, you can't have someone on pole position and be the hard charger. That would be an impossible feat unless everyone finished exactly where they started. To answer your question on that, Finley, there has not been someone that's run all 4 series, as usually an ARCA driver does not have a Cup ride, and sometimes the Cup driver doesn't have an ARCA ride, vice versa. And we have 14 cars left on track, 14 in total. .74 laps to go. Al Bunch is way off from the leaders. We might actually have to have green flag pit stops here tonight. We have not seen those yet. It's a very rare oddity when you come to super speedways like Talladega. Here we go. Pit stops. Your trio all pitting together. Braden Varga, Dalton Scott, and Tristan Reams. Reams comes in with the lead. Braden Varga coming out with the advantage here. Are they going to beat Dalton? Yes, they will beat Dalton Scott out. And credited with the lap led there. Actually, no, someone stayed out. Your other trio of Al Bunch, Tom Cording, and Ant Meperson. To alleviate the stresses of how long this race is, we will not throw a Sigma comp caution here. Instead, we will opt for a late race comp caution after the next round of pit stops, as we'll just let the race kind of resume and continue onward here and let whatever happen organically happen organically. We are coming up on the 2-hour mark of this one. And so, yeah, we definitely want to try and keep the race momentum going here, try to get all the laps behind us. We had way too many breaks in the action early on here to slow this race down. Wow, and pit stops, Al Bunch actually tried to close the gap on our leaders here. Jack Ross is going to go a lap down. The 8th place car under attack here by your leaders. And at the front of the field, it's Chevy, Honda, and Jaguar. Kind of a mix of manufacturers duking it out for the win. Al Bunch would be another Jaguar. And then Chevy of Tom Cording, Toyota of Tyler Landa, and a Dodge of Ant Me Person. Alrighty, we're down to 62 laps left to go here in the Dusty Shangle Memorial 500. Talladega has claimed a plethora of racers here tonight, knocking them so far out of contention they can't even see tomorrow. In the meantime, your top three is Tristan Reams, Braden Varga, Dalton Scott. Further back, you got fourth place Al Bunch, fifth Tyler Landis, sixth Tom Cording. Even further back, seventh place Ant Meeperson. Brian DeBlank has worked his way up into a ninth place run so far. As wild as that sounds, it has just been a night of survival for most. Well, now the 51's out there like a sitting duck as he got such a lead. The draft behind him is going to start to develop and overhaul him. Well, it's been a long time since our last caution. A long, long green flag run. We saw green flag pit stops about 20 laps previous here. 55 laps to go. The laps are ticking away. So the title between four drivers, two of our four drivers would be getting their second career championship, whereas the other two are looking to get their first title. Braden Varga, obviously, in his rookie year, never has won the title before, would be his first championship in the Cup Series. Brian DeBlank, this is his third season in the Cup Series, and would be his first title. But Dalton Scott, the inaugural champion back in 2010, could potentially become the first driver to get two championships. Or Al Bunch, who's still in the mix, could go back-to-back years where he won the championship last year. So either two drivers for their first championship or two drivers to get another championship added to their resume. Laps led here tonight, 50 laps total for Braden Varga, 51. And once that tally gets down to 40 laps to go, it's going to be near impossible for anyone else to catch him. If he leads the next 10 laps, he should have it pretty much sealed up. Led most laps here tonight. Big bonus for the bonus points. Thanks for tuning in on the stream, Finley. Glad to have you. Yeah, 4:40 in the morning. You might as well sign out for tonight. Your car had a great go. Fortunately, 16th is all it mustered. But on to the next one at Indianapolis. Hopefully we see you in the stream there. So far, no wonky mechanical failures in this long green flag run. Braden Varga still doing what he must to lead all the laps here tonight. Al Bunch doing what he must to keep the Hard Charger award in his name. Under attack, though. Al Bunch falls backwards here. Back to 6th. 7th will be a little bit harder for him to lose at the moment, so. But we will have that mandatory competition caution later on when we get our last round of green flag pit stops. That'll bunch everyone back up together for one final push to the finish line. "49 laps to go now. You know, it's actually crazy. Braden Varga has 6 wins on the season. Al Bunch has 6 wins on the season. And Dalton Scott has 8. Going into the finale, your top 3 winningest drivers this season are still all in the hunt. And that's by no mistake, obviously. Brian DeBlank is the points leader, but he only has 3 wins this season. So Braden Varga, rookie, Al Bunch, and Dalton Scott both with championship potential as prior champions in the series. Something's got to give. One of these, you know, Braden Varga has been one of the bigger surprises this year coming out of the woodworks. His rookie campaign looks like it's going to convert to a Rookie of the Year honor. Yeah, the 13 now just went a lap down, so that's kind of scary, actually. But of course, wave rounds and all that will be credited when we do the comp caution about halfway through the last of this run here. There we go. It's going to be led most laps here tonight, tied up, I believe, for Braden Varga, who's led 58 laps. That means Dalton Scott would have to lead. – 43 laps. He'd have to lead 43, and there's only 45 laps left to go. So each lap that Braden Varga leads here will continue to make that number impossible for the 15 to actually bounce back from. I'm going to call it early because it's trending in that direction. Braden Varga has led most laps here tonight. The only thing left for him to do is grab the win. And potentially the hard charger award if Al Bunch happens to have a mistake before the end of the race. Whoa, we're already having another round of green flag pit stops here with 44 laps to go. I don't know about that one, folks. That's a little bit early. If we go back here to see the last lap, Varga was on pit road, so 144. $145 minus 115, so 30 laps is all they can run. 44 laps to go. We'll let them run through this one too, unless a caution comes out. No reason to throw the competition caution and everyone still would have to pit again. Well, Dalton Scott lost a big chunk of the draft here as these two cars are driving away with it. That could be problematic for Dalton Scott as without the lead draft to work with, he could really lose some ground here. Fall back into the grasp of the next group of runners. This is why we usually run with a comp caution to help bunch everything back up. The AI do not know how to pit. Actually, we might throw that competition caution at about 22 laps to go. That way everyone can pit. There ain't going to be no wild and crazy chaos strategies unfold, and it gives everyone a chance to race it back for the finish here. So we'll dial up that comp caution with 22 to go. We'll have better cautions enabled in case the green-white checkers unfolds here tonight, but the way things are going, I don't think we're going to need comp caution, or we're not going to need green-white checkers to finish this one. Not enough cars left running to really tear up any more cars for the most part. And again, the 88's a slow roadblock here for the leaders. Honestly, with the way DeBlank season has gone, all he's got to do is finish 15th or better, and that ain't that ain't no easy feat to pull off next week. For Brian DeBlank, it's going to be 15th or better. That means if he finishes 16th and the number 9 of Braden Varga wins, Varga could be your champion. Dalton Scott could really make a big gain here tonight on Brian DeBlank and make it a lot easier. It could force Brian DeBlank's hand to finish top 5 or even top 10. Still not many weird mechanical failures late in this one. Kind of expecting some mechanical failures to start knocking more folks out here at the end, but everyone still just chugging along, racing the race, letting it come to them. Well, the back and forth, these leaders keep swapping the lead, which may be a good strategy to conserve fuel. Many drivers will swap the lead, let off the throttle, bounce it back and forth between each other to maximize the fuel load. And it's a very sound strategy here for Braden Varga and Tristan Reams to just save that fuel. Save their tires even, just running it back and forth, swapping the lead. Man, woohoo! 85 was right there in front of Varga and did not want to budge. Varga almost had to push him out of the way. Now the 51 way out front. He's going to be a sitting duck. That 9 will close that gap pretty quickly. For Brian DeBlank, the worst he could still finish here tonight is 14th. That would be best case scenario for Braden Varga, Dalton Scott, and Al Bunch, who are all still out there in the mix. Like I said, we'll throw a comp caution at 22 laps to go, so we're 11 laps away from that. Yeah, that is Talladega shenanigans for you. Whoa, whoa. Okay. Yeah, we're getting into some very sketchy segments here at the end of the race as the leaders have to slide and maneuver. I have decided we will throw the comp caution at 25 laps remaining here. That way we can give some wave arounds to a couple drivers, get some drivers closer to the lead lap, while also putting some of them back on the lead lap. At this point, it's Braden Varga's race to lose. He has been the most dominant performer here tonight. But the one last wrinkle in the evening, it could be a big game changer because he could gain more points on Dalton Scott and Al Bunch with a restart here tonight. They're sitting third and fourth, but kind of stagnant there. Give a wave around to a couple drivers, put more people on the lead lap. Never know what could happen. Oh, I've got some ideas under my sleeve, though. That 00 will be back on the lead lap. Wow, the 7 was about to go a lap down as well. I don't know what the hell that was all about, but thank God it didn't end in something traumatic. Alrighty, well, we're getting reset here with 21 laps to go. Tristan Reams, your leader. Braden Varga, second. Dalton Scott, third. Al Bunch, fourth. Tom Courting, fifth. Tyler Landa, sixth. Ant Me Person, seventh. And the 00 of Jack Ross in eighth. Well, the wave round finally went, but here we go. 8 cars left in the mix for the win. Who's going to get it? Dude, they look like they're going to wreck already. Wow, Jack Ross around the outside, hauling the mail. Alrighty, well, it's now or never for some of these cars. All of a sudden, the 85 showing up with massive speed. These cars, they might just wreck here at the lead. 4 wide, Al Bunch in the middle of it. Lap traffic all around him there. Woo! 3 wide for the lead as they got Dalton Scott on the low side, Braden Varga on the high side. Jack Ross mixing it up with your leaders here for the win. Now Braden Varga gets to settle down and set his sights back on the lead here, fighting for the win. Braden Varga back to the lead. Alrighty, down to 18 laps left to go. Four cars at the front, 4 cars in the second pack there. 8 cars with speed, but only one of them will win. Braden Varga doing the best to try and hold off all attackers here at the end, defending for all he's worth to win the race here tonight. Lap traffic still factoring in here very heavily. Puts it back in the hands of the drivers here at the end with the final restart. Al Bunch, Dalton Scott, they're both right there chasing Braden Varga down. The 2 Jaguars that have been tough to beat this year. Braden Varga, one of the few Chevys that have been able to keep them honest this year. 16 laps to go. This time by it'll be 15 to go. As they got around the lap car there, the 19 of Trevor Vaden. Dalton Scott sneaking on the inside here. Each driver in the front of the picture, they want the win here tonight to try and put them in the better shoes for next week at Indianapolis. Braden Varga has led most laps here tonight. He, you know, might be playing long ball here. Doesn't want to have the lead, be a sitting duck. He might rather sit here, follow the leaders for a while, and make his move when it matters the most right at the end. But he's got to find that inside line ASAP. He doesn't want to get stuck up high to dry. 51 of Tristan Reams makes the move alongside of him here. Down to 4 cars. This is really kind of amazing that we even have 4 cars left fighting for the win here tonight. Well, it's not looking like Al Bunch is going to falter here at the end. Braden Varga might be able to get max points minus the hard charger award, but still a great night for points, the number 9 team. Al Bunch is the furthest back in the running, so he desperately needs the win worse than anyone. Dalton Scott, he could be content with finishing 3rd or 4th here, and it wouldn't slow down his role for the championship. But Braden Varga and Al Bunch definitely want to get that win more so than anything here tonight. They're 200 plus points back, so this would be the only way they could leave with a you know, honest, favorable approach to Indianapolis in the finale. It's really going to come down to who can win Indianapolis, and Indianapolis is in its own kind of a wild card like Talladega, except it's not as wreck-filled like this one is. Indianapolis, it is a driver's track, and you do get to see the driver come out during that race. Sometimes crazy things happen at Indianapolis, and that's one of the reasons why we close out the championship there. With 3 hours in the books here tonight at Talladega. It's going to be about 3 hours for the Indianapolis 550. Yes, I know it's absurdly long. It's very lengthy, but it's the last race of the year. You might as well go out with a bang rather than a fizzle. So one final race, 550 miles at one of the longer tracks on the schedule, longer ovals that is. Actually, back-to-back with the last 2 ovals, the longest tracks in most circuits between Talladega and Indianapolis. The longer those 2 race side by side, the better that is for Braden Varga to start closing this race down. He can start stretching it out and resting easy, knowing the rest of them keep bickering over 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Meantime, Dalton Scott's closing the gap on Varga here. The best result for the fans tonight would be well, in the point situation, it would be an Al Bunch 1, Varga 2, Scott 3, because that would maximize the potential for everyone to get almost identically tied up at the front for the championship battle. Honestly, Dalton Scott almost needs to fall out of the running here and drop back to 8th on back, but that's, you know, besides the point. Someone is going to have a shot at the title next week, and it might be all 4 of these drivers still alive for the drive. Actually, the way things go right now, will be all 4 of them, because the 3 leading the way right now are 3 of your title contenders. And Brian DeBlank still holding on to 9th, just doing that consistency thing, keeping it in his favors. 8 laps to go here. Talladega's closing down. Some drivers will leave here tonight wondering what could have been after getting tangled up in a bunch of nasty wrecks that would have left most drivers concussed and confused. Dalton Scott dodged a bullet from sprint qualifier last night. They had the bunch-up problems, the bunching, where they were making contact, slowing up for a caution and pit stops. Well, Liz Shangle had a chartered ride that offered over to Dalton Scott so that he could attempt to keep the championship alive. We wouldn't be looking at this right now had Dalton Scott failed to qualify like he initially had been set. Wow, Varga made the move of a lifetime there, leaving the 88 to drop the 15 and the 81. He decided, nope, now's time I just drive away with it. I don't know if you want to get too far ahead, though. The leaders, the draft will work against him. Woo! Yeah, right there. They're closing the gap. Varga still with the advantage as he's using the lap traffic as a pick here, letting them hold up the rest of the fast cars. There he has worked his way around all the lap traffic now with 6 laps remaining. He's going to be a sitting duck here, though. I don't want to be in this position if I was him, driving that far ahead of the rest of your leaders. They're still having to make their way through the traffic. At least, if he's lucky here, only 1 car makes it back up to his bumper, and he can defend that a little easier than 3. Al Bunch starting to close back in. How big of an advantage does he have here? As they have to work their way through some more lap traffic. He's actually using lap traffic's draft to help him get around. Al Bunch, oh boy, doubled up now. The 45 goes high, 85 stays low. That's going to upset Al Bunch's run. 5 laps to go. Brian DeBlank might lose a spot here. That is for position between him and the 45. The 45 gets alongside and makes a move. But it's back to your Title 3 again. Al Bunch and Dalton Scott are trying to run back down Braden Varga as the laps tick away. The draft advantage is going to go to the 81 and the 15 here, as they should be able to blow by Braden Varga. Varga should chop low. He's going to do that and cut the run off. Dalton Scott stays low. Al Bunch stays high. Braden Varga blocking both lines masterfully here. 4 laps to go here at Talladega. Braden Varga doing a chop job, keeping the lead away from his contenders. Here they come up on the 019. Ooh, Vaden's going to block. Man, Varga needs to get props here tonight for masterclass avoidance skills. He's been able to avoid the lap traffic and gain advantages because of them. Not very often do you see the NR2003 AI work so masterfully like that. Usually they get stuck behind the slow traffic and lose the lead. So, Braden Varga, he's firing all cylinders here tonight and showing why he should be a contender for the title next week at Indy. Al Bunch making a push here. He's going to go low. This might be Varga's last chance to actually fall back and come back through the field. He's going to have to drop here. Al Bunch had one hell of a run. 3 wide as he drops to 4th. He's going to have one more push here, and this might be the move. He might be making that on purpose to drop back and get in the draft. let them race for it here. Look at that. 51 of Tristan Reams is alongside Al Bunch. 2 laps remaining now. He didn't want to be the catbird. He didn't want to be the lame duck at the front, so he gave them a shot to take the lead, and he's just going to pick them back off. One by one by one. There he goes. He cuts low on Dalton Scott, and he already knows that Tristan Reams is going to be an easy pass to make. So Dalton Scott's really the last, nuisance that he's got to deal with here. They will not see the white flag this time, as it's still technically 2 laps to go. 187 of 188. Even though mathematically that is 1 lap left, but 2 laps technically, so 2 laps to go. White flag not showing. That means a caution could come out here and force overtime, but we might not see that, as Braden Varga is just going to have to hold on. White flag means the race will be official. Hard part here is going to be holding off Al Bunch, though. He, I think, let Al Bunch by that last time just so he can make it back through the field and kind of upset the draft. The battle is on for the win. Al Bunch, he's caught up. He's closed right up on the back bumper of Varga. White flag waving in the air. No caution. This race will be complete next lap. Ooh, Dalton Scott's going to help Braden Varga here by pushing Al Bunch high. Dalton Scott with 8 wins on the season, hunting down his 9th win. That is astronomical numbers for the 2010 champ. He has never had that many wins in one season before. With the help of Jaguar, he's been able to really show up and rise to the occasion this year. He's going to have an opportunity, but I don't think Vargan's going to let him get around, as he's going to just follow in line right behind Braden Varga. Varga's going to bring home the win here tonight and push the championship to Indianapolis. Brian DeBlank brings it home in 4th. Not 4th. Brings it home in 9th. No, he's still, 9th. Okay. 45 was the other blue car. Braden Varga might just have tied up Rookie of the Year honors here tonight. That's, those are the storylines that I don't write. This game writes it for us. I don't have any control or manipulation here. This is the championship between 4 drivers at the end of the year. And that's the best way it could come down. We have a 4-car fight for the win, for the championship. Doesn't get any better than that. Forget about the playoffs. Forget about, the chase and all that. This is truly authentic when you have a championship that goes down to the wire without any gimmicks or manipulation. Braden Varga, a rookie on a rampage. And Dalton Scott, a veteran trying to close out a chapter of his book. A very illustrious book with many wins and a championship. Could it possibly end in 2 championships for the star of the series? Down to 1 race left on the season. Al Bunch is not out. You can never count Al Bunch out until the last bell rings. So Al Bunch gets to he gets to try and go back to back, but it's going to be an uphill battle at Indianapolis. Yeah, masterclass for the AI here tonight. We saw some very peculiar moves that, the AI actually were functioning intelligently here tonight, which is wild. So, many thanks to everyone that tuned in here tonight. Glad you could stick around for the whole show. Congratulations to Braden Varga on getting that win here tonight. A dominant performance by the number 9 and a championship on the horizon for one of the final 4 drivers here. So, Indianapolis, the schedule, not for certain yet when or what time we'll run it. But next week it might be a Thursday, it might be a Friday. Probably a similar time to what we ran it here tonight. Maybe Saturday. Being a championship finale, I might actually wait till Saturday to run the race at noon so that people don't have to stay up till midnight, 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning on their end. So stay tuned. I'll definitely ping the server once I have an idea when the race will run. And I hope to make the finale at least a little bit more accessible for people so they don't have to stay up so late. So have a great night, everyone. Stay safe out there. And until next time, this is Jakester signing